This is Boxing Tickets NI in association with SB Sports. We're here at the one half of the press conference for obviously your, I would probably say, Mick, it's probably a dream come true moment. Obviously, when you turn pro and everything else, you probably dream of moments of fighting at home for world titles. You've obviously experienced the world title fight in Nottingham just over a year ago. Is this probably now the good reward for sort of falling short? Obviously coming back, obviously in style. It's as if this moment's been made for you all along.
In a sense, yes. In a sense, I don't really care. I'm just glad I'm fighting at home. I'm glad it's for a world title. It has been a long time coming. It's been something that I've wanted to do since I turned professional, and I've seen the likes of Frampton and Burnett and stuff do it in the past, and I want to be a part of that list, and I want to be, an IBF champion like those guys were. So, yeah, I'm excited for it.
Wasn't it sort of touching that obviously Carl and Ryan and even TJ, obviously their first world titles was the ABF, so there's a good luck omen involved with Irish boxing, but I guess luck doesn't count for much. It's obviously on the skill in the ring as well.
Yeah, that's it. Listen, I used to be superstitious, but I'm not no more. But even when you see little things like that, you go, you know what I mean? That could be something. But yeah, listen, it doesn't really matter about them guys winning in the past. I still got to go and do it myself, and I believe I will. But it is nice that the previous guys have all won this as their first world title, so yeah, I'm excited about that.
Gives you a bit of extra motivation, doesn't it, as well? They know that they've done it. Obviously, from the Moraga fight in August, you obviously said you want the big names, you want big titles. You obviously couldn't get that for December, and obviously since with Lopez defeating Warrington, the build-up and the talk's been going, initially planned for Paddy's Day weekend, and it didn't happen. Has the time been the sort of killer, the fact that waiting for him to be prepared, the negotiations took a bit of time as well? Were you ever fearful of the fact that the fight might happen and it might go somewhere else?
Fearful, no, but at times I did think it wasn't happening, but I've always knew it was going to happen. But at times, obviously, there was things he was complaining about and things he didn't want to do, and the fight was off at one or two stages, I believe, in the negotiations. But Jamie keeps me there. Let's let him do the work. And the only hard thing about it all was just waiting, waiting on getting the official date. And I knew that this was the date. And I've been in training for the last 7 weeks. But when it's not official, it's hard to be focused on what you're preparing for. So the last 7 weeks I've just been training and getting into shape and working on little things which I need to improve on. And now, once I go back tomorrow, it'll be much more focused on Lopez.
Everybody's been saying you're a demon in the gym, and since obviously the defeat to obviously Lee Wood, that the things have ramped up even further. Now that the fight's announced and you get back and they're focusing on the camp, how much more can you prepare? Like, obviously I know that you're a workhorse in the gym, but does it make the training go that much more sweeter now, knowing that the fact that the fight's signed, sealed and delivered, the press is out of the way and you can just focus now on visualising the one?
I haven't even thought of it, I haven't thought about what it is. I hate training, but when I do it, I make sure to do it the best I can, and I train as hard as I can. But I don't go, I'm gonna love training hard. Then it's hell, but I know I need to put myself through that, and that's why I do it all the time. And even after the Lee Wood fight, I'd say it probably it has intensified, but at the same time, I'm still just ticking the boxes like I always do. I'm still training as hard as what I always do, if not a little bit harder. But now I go in there and I know I've got 8 weeks of actual training, of pure hell, working hard, sparring, doing everything I can to be the best fighter I can be.
Lopez obviously won the same night obviously as you, gone in 60 seconds sort of job in the SSE. Did you think he'd beat Warrington, I guess, when he's going away in foreign soil? As a away fighter, sometimes you think they're going to get robbed in the scorecards. I think the scorecards were maybe closer than it was. Yeah. Were you maybe thinking that it might not have been Lopez, or did you always have an inkling that his power would have been too much for Josh?
I didn't know. I actually did think if I went to points he was going to lose, just because of how Leeds is and it's crazy over there, and their fan base and stuff, and how they probably would influence things, but they obviously didn't, which was good. And the right man won, and I was happy for him. It probably would have been a different route if Warrington would have won, because he's Matchroom and all that other side of the road shit, so it would have been hard to make. Whereas I wasn't mandatory for this title. He's voluntary picked me. we're both in the same stable, and that's probably one of the reasons why. But yeah, the fact that he's coming to Belfast, being the champion, obviously going and winning it away, I don't think it phases him, and I think he's as excited as me about this.
Do you think that could be his downfall? Obviously, in the fight, of the fact that for a lot of your career you've had to chase opponents around the ring, that he's obviously going to come forward to fight you, that because he's going to want to make an impression, to quieten the fans down at the start, that I guess I don't want to give too much away, sort of, but like obviously the Lee Wood fight, you made the impression the first round by dropping him, that he might walk into something knowing that the fact that he has to try and quieten the crowd down very early on in the fight.
I don't think he's stupid. I think that he knows that people will say like no power and all this here, but I've shown, I think my last 4 or 5 opponents have all touched the canvas. So I know I have a bit of making shots, and I think anybody that fights me knows that. So I don't think he'll be taking any silly risks too early. He will try to press early, but I don't think it'll be too silly. He's a smart fighter. He knows what he's doing.
Looking potentially the same night, that they're going to be Lara versus Warrington or Lara versus Wood. Do you sort of, I guess, you can't look too far ahead, but as I sort of said in the press conference there, the featherweight division's flying. You've obviously mentioned you could do like a World Boxing Super Series. Do you sort of, I guess you have to look to the future in some ways as well. Like, what do you make of obviously Lara facing Warrington for the third time, or obviously the rematch with Wood? It's probably a bit too early for Wood, obviously, after the...
It seems there's going to be Wood. He really wants that fight, so it seems that fight's going to happen. And if it happens the same night, fantastic. He can't win, he can't beat him. He showed in that fight that he could beat him. All the little things he was doing in that fight. Like Wood, I wouldn't say he's an unbelievable boxer. He's tough and resilient, like I've always says, but like he was outboxing Lara quite easily, and he probably only lost because he got greedy and tried to trade hooks with a hooker, and paid the ultimate price and got knocked out.
Just also when I finally touched on obviously Katie's homecoming, it was obviously the week before you. It's a relief, I guess, isn't it? You've obviously fought in America quite a bit and stuff as well, but we probably thought we're getting to the stage Katie's never going to fight at home. An amazing fight with obviously Chantel Carmen, but it's I seen Katie on Monday, and you've seen how obviously special it meant to her. Like, you're not going to get to the fight, but what an amazing occasion it's going to be in the 3 Arena for her on the 20th of May.
Yeah, it'll be special. It'll be an unbelievable atmosphere, and I think even though Chantel lives just across the water in England, it's still just going to be a nightmare for her in terms of fans. But I don't think it affects the girl. She's an undisputed world champion, and you don't become that easily. It's a tough thing to do, and she's a great fighter, very tough fighter, strong, big girl. Katie's hardest fight in my opinion, but I just believe that Katie will step up and take it home.
And obviously finally then winning the world title on the 27th of May, is it sort of like a story tale? I guess stories, they don't always go as you plan sometimes, but you obviously won a world title in Belfast, the first world title win since Ryan Burnett against Saniakov in, I think it was October, November of 2017, so it'll be a long time since we've had a world champion in Belfast. Obviously, how much will that mean to you, I guess, from what you've been through over the last year and suffering your first defeat and bouncing back?
I think, it will mean the world to me. It is like very storied, even how everything has went. Everybody thought it'd be world champion against Wood. I believed it'd be world champion against Wood, but that's not how the story was meant to go, and it threw a different kind of chapter at us, and this is it. And in my opinion, I'll complete the chapter this time. I take nothing for granted. I know Louis Albert Louise is a fantastic fighter, and I've got to be at my best to beat this guy, and I will be.
Listen, thanks very much for your time, Mick. Enjoy obviously the last of obviously camp to come. I think you've got halfway of camp left to go, and roll on the 27th of May and the new.